Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. Today's episode is going to be much different than others. When I read about this guest, it brought tears to my eyes from one dad to another. This is a company that started from passion, from love, from a dad wanting to support his son in a way that allowed him to blossom and continue to grow into a remarkable young man. It's a story of entrepreneurship, of a young man with Down syndrome who ended up building a 7-figure sock empire with his dad. Some people will use terms like disabilities or differing abilities or all this other stuff. But as we come to find out, they actually end up our superpowers, just a little bit differently. I want to introduce you the creators of John's Crazy Socks, Mark and John Cronin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. We're glad to be on your podcast.
We're glad to be here.
John, how old are you?
I'm 27.
You're 27. Excellent. And so how long have you been running this business?
I'm running my business back at Friday, 7/9, 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
We just celebrated our 7th anniversary.
And so whose idea was it to start the sock company? Was it you or your dad's?
It's my idea. When I turned 21, I tell myself, I guess at school, it makes me entrepreneur. I get an opportunity and want to create a more business.
It was born out of necessity.
Yes.
John, in your introduction, you explained John has Down syndrome. So anywhere in the U.S., you can stay in the public school system until you turn 21.
Okay.
Once you turn 21, you go over that 21-year-old cliff and they say, get out. So
Yeah.
John was trying to figure out what comes next. And what were you looking at?
I love that a job, program, and school. I can't find a great I don't like.
This, unfortunately, is reality. There just aren't enough opportunities for people with different abilities. The unemployment rate is double the national average. Only 1 in 5 people with a disability is employed. John here is a natural entrepreneur. You didn't see this as a problem. You saw it as an opportunity.
You did.
What to tell me?
I said, I want to go into business with my dad. A nice father and son business together.
I love it.
One of the many things John does, he gives tours.
Yes.
And we had this gentleman and a potential investor, and I just wanted him out of the building. It was really offensive. John's giving him a tour, and I interrupted to move it along a bit. John looks at me and says, we have to talk.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And when he left, back to the office we shared, John points to a picture on the wall with the logo and his name. He goes, whose picture is that? And it's yours. And then he picks something up with his name and goes, whose name is that? Well, it's yours. He goes, don't you forget it. And don't interrupt my tours again.
Oh, good for you, John. Good for you.
Thank you.
So, John, talk to me a little bit about your journey to success. You guys have built a $1 million empire with socks. There's a lot of sock companies out there. It would be very difficult for anybody today to turn around and start a sock company and make $1 million enterprise, let alone creating a stock company and making $1 million enterprise with the number of different challenges that might arise. Talk to me about how did you create $1 million business?
First, we tested the idea. We told you John's getting out of school. He wants to go into business. We had to find a business that would make sense. And you're the one that said we should sell socks.
I did. I want to start with your socks.
And why socks?
Why socks? It's fun. It's colorful. It's creative. It always let me be me. I won crazy socks my whole life. And also, we travel around, look for those socks.
We used to drive around looking for these things. So we figured this.
You know what he just said that I feel right there answered the entire question? You said, I wanted to do this business because it let me be me. It was authentic. It was genuine. You have a passion for it. Back in the day, when I was a kid, the direction used to be go where the money is. And so you would always chase where the money is, and kids would go to school to get degrees to what pays the highest job and all that other
Right.
jazz. As I matured and as I started to pay attention, what I realized was the most successful people, not because of the degrees that they have, but because they had a passion, a fuel that was the winds that continued to push them forward, even among challenges, difficulties, obstacles. And it was that passion that even if, John, if I gave you $1 billion, if you had all the money in the world, would you still sell socks?
Yeah. I want to sell more socks
You'll sell more socks.
because people love their socks. We got customers like their socks too. And of course, people want socks. And we have a mission. We have a purpose mission. It's bring happiness. That is
Oh,
the passion that people want because people want. We have with different abilities. We created 34 employees, and we have 22 with a different ability, and it's so possible.
love it, love it. You gave so many secrets to success that so many people have missed. It's an authentic connection between your passion and your purpose. And when I talk to many entrepreneurs, usually when they get stuck at a certain level and when I ask for their mission, it all comes down to I want to make money. And they want to take care of themselves and all they focus in on themselves. But what you begin to look at is when people begin to make more money and that sphere expands, they become wealthier and wealthier. What they realize is if you just want to put food on the table, you take care of yourself. If you want to make a little bit more money, you take care of your family. If you want to make more money, you take care of your community, then your state, then your region, then your country, then the world. You get paid in direct proportion to the impact that you make on others. Your mission is to provide opportunities for other people. You're taking care of a bigger community. You're making a bigger impact. So it's no wonder that the amount of money you're making is in proportion to the impact you're making. So let me ask you,
Yes.
your mission is to create an impact among other people with differences, differing abilities. So when we're talking about people with differing abilities, what percentage of your company is employed by others with differing abilities?
It's more than half. We've been
More
able
than-
to create
more than
34
half.
jobs.
Yeah.
22 are held by people with different abilities. But you've got it, Charles. That's just the beginning. You talk about purpose from day one. John was driving this, so we're going to spread happiness.
Yes.
And you should hear him. What do you say are the keys to happiness?
Absolutely. The mission is about a gratitude,
The more we do for others, the better off we are.
right?
But we know what we're about. We have our 5 pillars. And the most important one is
One very important one is give it back.
it's inspiration and
I
hope. Right?
inspire and hope. Yes.
So we start with John. You have Down syndrome. We don't hide you.
I have done it from never holding back. I am the face of the business. I am in front of the company.
Where we create jobs. We share on social media to show what people can do. We've got 240,000 Facebook followers. And you got now, what, 65,000 TikTok followers?
Yes, I
You
do.
like making those TikToks?
Nice.
I'll do TikToks.
But we hold tours. So we've had more than 2,000 students come through. And it's really important for them to see other people like themselves who are working or owning a business. We host work groups that we've had more than 1,000 people come through in that program. We do speaking engagements. We're in Nashville. I think next week we're in Indiana. We spoke virtually to a university, to entrepreneurs. Look at this, Charles. You have us on your podcast.
I'm
How
really
cool
cool.
is that?
I am actually not only going to have you on my podcast, I would actually invite you to be a featured guest with my board of directors members who are all CEOs of 7- and 8-figure companies, because your mission and your purpose is exactly what we need to hear, because you have unlocked and defined a specific secret to success that most people overlook. And even though I'm in the business of creating more predictability and growing faster in the whole deal, there is one element that you have communicated far better than I ever have. John and Mark, both of you, what if you throw a stone into the river, what do you notice about the ripples? They go wider, right? What I don't know that you're aware of is the ripple effect of the work that you're doing. Because this story right now is impacted me. And when we leave, I'm going to sit there and go, how much more can I do? This story I'm going to tell to God knows how many people, who I hope inspires, that goes ahead and tells more people. I'm going to put you in front of other people of influence that want to be able to share your story more and more and more, because the world needs more people like you. We need more people focused on purpose, focused on making a difference, than we do just about making money. And this is coming from a guy who teaches people how to make more money.
You know how it is, Charles. You got to have a purpose that's bigger than ourselves. And it can't just be we're going to make money. And don't get me wrong.
You get paid in proportion to the impact you make.
Right? We like to live indoors.
Oh, yeah, we do.
And this is part of the message we share with folks, both about hiring people with different abilities, but growing a business. And you can do that. Yesterday, for example, we had a visit to our warehouse from a congressman who came to see our business and see what we do, to see how we employ people. And then we're able to sit down with him and talk about strategies of creating more opportunities and legislative change. For us, our business, it attracts and allows us to speak to people in power. That creates an obligation on our part to speak up. But every business, I think, has to look and say, what else can we do? We have a platform. How are we using that platform to take care of people?
John said, and you also said this, Mark, happiness. When you're living in the pursuit of happiness and use that to drive impact, and you understand that the formula for wealth, the output for wealth, is actually in direct proportion to the impact that you are able to bring others. And if you change the equation around and you say, you know what, here's the deal, I'm going to focus on making as much impact as I possibly can, wealth comes automatically. My friend Marshall said, what I'm trying to prove is that when you are in servitude to the others to create a greater good, to make a bigger impact, to do all this stuff, that money continues to flow back to you when you are making an impact. So when I talk about with my clients, Darwin's survival of the fittest isn't about having the biggest, baddest animal in the animal kingdom. When you're the lion that adds to the survival of so many other people, the other lions in the pride conspire to help you survive. They conspire to help you succeed more because they know that your survival aids to the survival of the entire pride. Mark, you're the lion right now. You're the king of the jungle because what you're doing is you have supported your son and created a platform that has naturally attracted thousands of buyers from all around the world that said, you know what, we want to help this lion survive. We want to help John succeed. So we want to have you spread more happiness. That's the benefit of having a compelling vision, one that not only inspires you and John, but inspires the team of employees, that inspires the community. We rally with you and we want to make this work.
The more we do, the more we just take care of others, the more it comes back to us and the more connections you make, right? And then that enables you to do more. It's pretty cool.
So, John, I have a crazy question for you.
Yeah.
What do you spend all your money on? Now that you're this big, successful entrepreneur, what do you spend all your money on?
I don't know.
There's a lot of it goes right back into the business, but you live a pretty good life, don't you?
I do. I have a bigger life. In my life, I run my own business, and I'm working with my dad, working with different abilities.
Well, what else do you do outside of work?
Oh, yeah, tonight I had basketball tonight. I just let you know, I am Pacific athlete. I play for sports. I play basketball, track and field, soccer, and snowshoe.
Wow.
It's really cool. And I eat out. I like go to movies. And I like quality time with my father.
Well, actually, John mentioned Special Olympics. Part of what we're about, you got to give back. We don't
Yeah.
think it's ever enough to just sell stuff. So giving back is baked into everything we do. We started by pledging 5% of our earnings to the Special Olympics, because if there was no Special Olympics, there'd be no John's Crazy Socks. Everything he's learned. And many of our colleagues are Special Olympic
Yeah.
athletes. I coach in Special Olympics.
Well, you might be the first snowshoe coach I have ever spoken with.
But John here, and here's the cool thing. We've now raised over $700,000 for our charity partners. John has donated
Wow.
over $150,000 to the Special Olympics, more than any
Wow.
athlete.
Wow.
We're just getting started, right?
Oh, yeah. We just did.
Over half the people in your company have differing abilities. You've donated over $700,000 back to the Special Olympics because you pour your heart and soul into all your products. Rumor has it that if anybody buys a sock from you, that they get a personal note from John himself. Is that right?
Every package, I get a vegan note from me. I read your personalized, I wear it. And I put candy. I put a lollipop.
And
Yes.
picture and the name of the person who packed your order.
Dose of happiness.
But
You're
here-
doing a good job giving me a dose of happiness. I feel so good right now talking to you.
My title is Chief Happiness Officer.
What is the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part of my job, I love everything. And I speak engagement. I like to make videos. I like to video on TikToks.
we were driving to a speaking engagement a week or so ago.
Oh,
I had
yes.
to be there at 8 in the morning, and John's not really a morning person. But he's sitting there next to me, and all of a sudden he just looks up and he goes, Dad, I love being an entrepreneur. I have
Wow.
important things to do from 8 this morning till 9 tonight, and I love it, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Actually, Charles, John was the first person with Down syndrome to be named an EY Entrepreneur of the Year.
Whoa. Good. That's awesome. John, let me ask you, when I was growing up as a kid,
Yeah.
I was told that I had dyslexia. And so dyslexia made it really hard for me to learn. And I also had a lot of other things in addition to dyslexia. And I always felt
Yeah.
a little different. But then when I got older, I realized that I could do things that other kids couldn't do. I could think in ways that other kids couldn't think. And then I realized that my dyslexia was actually a superpower and it made me better. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
So, based on your differing abilities, do you truly believe that is one of your superpowers as well? Are you grateful for those differing abilities and the power that it's given you to be such an extraordinary CEO?
Yes.
Does Down syndrome help you?
It is more important to me that my power, I have Down syndrome. That is who I am.
It is who you are. You've owned it, and you have influenced and impacted and changed so many lives because, just as you said, you have never, ever let it slow you down.
Absolutely.
John, there are so many people out there that will have so many crazy stories and so many reasons why they can't do something because of this or that or whatever it might be. And everybody has a reason for why it can stop them, but you've never let that stop yourself.
No,
No.
nothing ever stops you.
Nope.
In fact, you did one better. You didn't let it stop you. Instead, you turned it into a superpower. And it doesn't matter if it's a differing ability or if it's an economic challenge or an accident or something, whatever might end up happening. If things happen for us, if we have that attitude, we can turn that into one of the greatest advantages that could happen to us in the moment. I think, Mark, you actually would have asked yourself the same question multiple times.
Yes,
Why is this happening for me?
that can happen. But here's where we are. And now what do we do?
Yeah.
And even in the darkest of times, you talk about creating wealth, right? So you know
Yeah.
During recessions, that's when you create greatest wealth. It's people that see that opportunity and know I can make something happen here. It's a benefit. John has taught us so much. A thing of parents of a child with a disability often hear is God only gives a burden to those who he knows can handle it. John has made me a better person and his brothers better people. We're the ones that have benefited. He's lifted us up.
I believe it.
Even starting this business, for me, it came at a dark time. And so when I first heard John saying to me, Dad, I want to go into business with you, it was one more thing of, okay, I got to take care of you, son. In fact, he was lifting me up, saying, Dad, I believe in you.
I did.
I know you're going to make things happen.
I was very proud to work with my dad. And he said, I am so proud. And he always gives me strength and how I have become a success.
A tough love. Is your dad your toughest employee?
Oh, no. The mama bear works with us,
Oh,
too.
yeah, she is.
Oh,
The mama
She's
bear.
the toughest employee. Mark, were you an entrepreneur before this? Had you
Yeah.
run any other business
I've
before?
run multiple businesses, some that soared, some that crashed, all that move things forward.
Gotcha.
But it's something I've noticed among other entrepreneurs, and I noticed amongst John, and I could look back in my own life of doing things that were entrepreneurial even before we had language to describe that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about John. He was attending the local summer school program, and I ran into the principal running the school, and she says, and you must be so proud of John and the way he's organizing the talent show. What talent show? John had decided the school should have a talent show. And he put together a presentation, met with the principal, and said, I want
Whoa.
to do this. We're going to put it together. Didn't ask for any help. She said, all right, go organize it. He organized all the classes, and it was going to be a surprise to let his parents know. But he went and did that.
Wow.
And that's, they weren't looking there saying, well, you're an entrepreneur. But it's that way of thinking. It's when we started, right, just the two of us, we tested the idea, tested well. Now we're going forward. So we opened in December of 2016. It's now January of 2017. And learning firsthand, nobody buys anything in January because they spent all their money at the holidays. So we always sold other people's socks. That's when we discovered that people wear crazy socks to celebrate World Down Syndrome Day. Which World Down Syndrome Day?
March 21st.
March 21st. Now, Charles, you would have thought we knew that ahead of time, but we were not that small. So we go looking for a Down syndrome sock or a themed sock we could sell. Nobody made one. What'd you say?
I said, I want to make one. I want to create one. I created it.
So he designed the world's first Down syndrome awareness sock.
Wow.
And we called up the National Down Syndrome Society and said, hey, we're going to sell this sock and we're going to give you money from every pair. And they said,
Oh, who are you?
who are you? But now John is on the board.
Yeah, I'm on the board member of Notre Dame Society.
Wow.
It's all possible.
Amazing.
So, Mark, let me ask you. I know we're pushing up against the clock here. You've had multiple different businesses. This is the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. What would you say would be the biggest, best tip you have for our listeners who want to take their companies beyond seven figures?
You have to believe. First, believe in the abundance and how big it can get. Don't sell yourself short, but you have to believe. And that may sound simple, but you have to know what you're about and believe that you can go do this. And then it all becomes about finding a way to make that happen. How are we going to make this happen?
Yep.
And you mentioned two paths. There's one large group of people. They're going to tell you all the reasons why something can happen. Here's why it's too hard, it's too difficult, it's too expensive. And the other group are rolling up their sleeves saying, what do we got to do?
Yep.
How can we do this? And we've learned the bigger leaps we make, the further we go.
I love it.
There's no one easy answer of, we'll run these ads or do that. You have to know what you're about, know your purpose, know your values, and go and believe. Don't pay lip service because you're going to get knocked down. You got to believe.
I love it. Now, John, if people want to learn more about you, And the socks that you sell, where do we send them?
You can find us at crazysocks.com. Check it out. We have TikTok, we have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube channel.
It's johnscrazysocks.com. And as John said, we're on all of the social media platforms. People love to follow
love it.
John. If people want to get a hold of us individually, we're both on LinkedIn. And we have a very simple equation for people. You're going to buy socks from us. You're going to get socks you love that let you express who you are.
Yeah.
You're going to get great socks. We have over 30,000 five-star reviews.
And really awesome.
But you're going to help us employ people with different abilities. You're going to help us give back. And most of all,
you can help us spread happiness.
You're going to put those socks on.
I feel good.
A dose of happiness with every order, right? A dose of happiness with every order. All right, so that wraps up today's episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. We have Mark and John Cronin. John's Crazy Socks, and that's John with an H, so johnscrazysocks.com. Follow him on social. Take a look at his company and whatnot. This is really a story about passion, about vision, about finding challenges as opportunities that are happening for us and maximizing those opportunities that exist. Differing abilities aren't an excuse to hold you back. Rather, differing abilities, you just got to look a little harder to figure out where the superpower is in that experience in and of itself. It's been an extraordinary story, one of inspiration. I'm pumped up about it. We've got our lion, John, and our lion, Mark. We talk about survival of the fittest when you make such an impact that people conspire around the world to help you succeed, and you could see their impact in trying to support others with differing abilities and what that's done already to their business. So again, this wraps up today's episode. For additional tips, strategies, and information, also check us out at predictableprofits.com. Again, that's predictableprofits.com. This is Charles Gaudette with my new friends, Mark and John Cronin, and I will see you in another episode.